So welcome everyone to the Winter Expo of the Games Engineering Program of Study and associated programs. It's my great pleasure to do the opening. My name is Sebastian von Mammen. I'm professor in Games Engineering, and together with my colleagues from our chair, I will moderate in parts the event today. We have been having this Winter Expo as an online event even before the pandemic times that we are still cursed with, just for practical reasons. Because during the summer term, or at the end of the summer term, we would meet in person and have a huge party on campus, and people would mingle and have a great time. Something that we've always all been dreaming of for the past few years now. And let's just keep our fingers crossed that this year will be the first year after a long list of past opportunities that we will actually be able to have this big summer expo in person again. But nevertheless, the Winter Expo had always been held in an online format, just like right now. As I said, for practical reasons, during the winter time, it's much easier not to leave your homes and present everything in a remote fashion. And the other thing is, of course, that typically the students' projects, when they start at regular intervals, which would be the winter time, they would be finished and completed at the end of the summer semester. This is also, of course, one of the good reasons to have the Summer Expo in person with a huge party associated and organized, and the Winter Expo, the event today, only as an online event, even before Corona times. That being said, I'm still, even though for many of the projects that we are going to see today and many of the students who have been eagerly working on them, it's just a midterm presentation, so to speak, and they are only halfway through with their respective projects. It's still a very exciting day today, and I'm very much looking forward. Before we actually start presenting, I'd like to pass on word to Martin, who's gonna announce the GOTY Award. And actually, just from my side, a brief explanation. The Summer Expo that I've just mentioned and briefly described always gave the audience who would come and join us on campus to give the opportunity to them to vote for the best projects across many different categories, which included GameLab 1, GameLab 2, GameLab 3, but also the human-computer interaction programs, the bachelor's and the master's, and so on. So there was a huge list of options that the audience could vote for, and we would actually hand out awards to all those different categories. But now that we are stuck and limited to this online format, it made it so much easier just to consider the games that people can actually download and play on their local machines, as opposed to also, of course, learn about scientific results or install technology to enhance the functionality of common game engines and so on and so forth. So this simplicity reason, of course, made it much simpler to just award the GameLab 1 projects this season, or rather last season, because they are the GOTY Awards of last year, actually, for the full submissions that took place end of the last summer semester. But of course, that being said, we will go back to our original routine and hand out awards across the board again this summer. Doesn't matter what will happen. If Corona is still bugging us, then we will make sure that we can have awards across the board also in an online format. But now, without further ado, I'll pass on word to Martin. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Sebastian. And as Sebastian just said, I will start by taking you to a retrospective first, so that we can get a good impression of what to expect from the midterm presentations and the project that we see afterwards. So we will first have a look at what happened last year with the Game of the Year award. So let me explain briefly. For the Game Lab 1, most students are fresh at the university. So, and while they are learning often the theoretical basics in computer science and mathematics in their other courses, the Game Lab 1 lets them apply their skills to develop a computer game. So, and at least from our perspective, this should thus also constitute some kind of beacon to them for why they go through all the pain in the other courses, because creating your own game is often very motivating. So more specifically, Game Lab 1 tasks students, either alone or in a team of 2, to develop a preferably unique set of core mechanics, and in the course of 1 year implement and improve a fully functional prototype that delivers approximately 20 minutes of playtime. Ideally, this is then supplemented by visual and auditory assets, progression, story, and at the end conveys their original game idea to the players. So to get a good impression about this process, we have a look at how this worked out last year with the Game of the Year award for Game Lab 1 2021. And in addition to finding this one winner, Sorachi, maybe you please switch to the next slide. We will also take the chance with this to give all the other games also an additional spotlight, because we think all the games in Game Lab 1 are wonderful outcomes that should be visible. So we started with 11 nominees, and I like to explain the process a bit further. On the next slide, we see how we went through this. So I picked all the excellent projects as dependent on the grades for nomination. And then internally, so the supervisors and the tutors of the last year's Game Lab 1 choose 5 finalists. And those finalists were handed to an external jury that then determined the winner of the Game of the Year award. On the right side, you can see this jury. And in addition to Sebastian, we have Simone, Dorian, and Reinhard, who may take the chance now, if they are present, to introduce themselves.
So I can start, I think.
Yeah, sure, Reinhard.
Yeah, let me start. So I can. So my name is Reinhard, and I'm working for the gaming industry since over 20 years. So I'm more the old guy. I guess I'm the first one who's getting in Rente, being in the gaming business. Anyways, so I'm working here at Handy Games since almost 2 years, and I'm responsible as a producer for internal projects as well as external projects. So yeah, and I had the honor to attend here, and also took a look at your games, of course. And yeah, but we come to that later. That's me.
Okay, so thank you very much. Sebastian?
I think I'm the only other jury member, because I've just received or seen an email by Simone, by Dorian actually, that he can't attend either. And Simone told us up front.
Yeah.
So I already introduced myself. I was honored, of course, of being nominated to the jury. It was super much fun, especially, of course, because it's the second year now that I'm not grading the Game Lab 1 projects myself, because Martin and his crew took over this very hard job, actually.
Yeah, that's true.
And it was fun to actually go through the projects and yeah, experience some of them, at least myself. Yeah, and that's me. So
okay, then let's go one step further before really looking at the winner, to these finalists. Sorachi, would you please switch to the slide? So at the end, these 5 games, namely Back in Time, Dispatch, Elementals, Gravity Boots, and Toss It, they made it to the final round. And here are some comments by the jury that targeted all the games and the level of quality that those games reached. They said, like, die Spiele sind wirklich allesamt sehr gut, and it was hard to determine one favorite. And I am somehow glad, because I had to grade those projects in the first place, that at some point I did not need to distinguish much further between the excellent ones, because it's getting really hard in the end. So without further ado, we now will have a look at what the choice of the jury will be. And please, also to you, make some virtual noise to our this year's winner. And it is Gravity Boots. So Frederick, congratulations to your excellent game. And I will just read some of the comments dedicated to your game during this process. So they said, it's ein liebevoll gestaltetes Spiel mit angenehm cleanen Style, das über sein Gravity-Feature zum Nachdenken und Ausprobieren anregt. And the other comment was, I like the fast-paced gameplay. You need to think in all 4 directions of 2 dimensions, but you do not have a lot of time to do so. So at this point, we perhaps should honor the awarded game by watching the trailer of this of Gravity Boots together again. Okay, so this should definitely help with a bit with reputation and the portfolio, but I also heard that Reinhard has something special to announce for the winners and the finalists as well. So Reinhard.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So for the congratulations, Frederick, for giving me a hard time in your game, because it's really challenging, because you have to, arrange the one side is your gravity and the other side is that you need to control your character. And in the beginning it was like, phew, okay, how do I do it? But in the end, we had a lot of fun with it. And because we're a gaming company, I would like to share with you a gift from us. It could be this one, which is the Destroy All Humans special edition. We have that available for Xbox and PlayStation. So you need to let me know what you prefer if you have a console. If it's a Nintendo Switch, I can offer you the this one, the Battle for Bikini Atoll from SpongeBob. That's for Nintendo Switch. And if you have PC only, then just let me know, then I figure out something. On top, you get this nice Handy Games t-shirt, of course. We need to make some advertisement here. And I feel like someone on the market. And on top, I give you a Chicken Police game. Just let me know what platform do you prefer. And that, the t-shirt and the Chicken Police game, that's available for every one for the 4 other games as well. Just, I think it makes sense if you let me know via Martin, excuse me, what size of t-shirt you need and what platform do you prefer in terms of the game. So then I can put everything together and send it to you. Yeah.
So thank you very much, Reinhard.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is very nice and even makes the award more valuable. And Frederick, if you are here and you don't mind, you could quickly say hello, wave to into the camera to us, if this is okay for you. You could surely do it now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi, Frederick.
Oh, hi, I'm here. I don't have a camera, unfortunately, but I'd like to say a few sentences anyways. So I'm very glad and honored for winning this award. And special thanks to Reinhard for the present I will get.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And when you're, and that's for all of you. I mean, if you have time, take a look at our website. We're always looking for talented people. So at one day you will end your study, then just check out. We're also looking for part-time, like testers, and so just let you know.
Okay, so perhaps again a round of applause for Frederick and also for Handy Games for sponsoring our award. Thank you very much. And if you want to know more about the Game of the Year award and the nominated games, consider having a look at the HCI webpage and the dedicated posts there, because in addition to the other trailers and information on the games, some of the nominated games are even available for download, so you could get ready and try them for yourself. And with this impression in mind of the Game of the Year awards and the trailer we just saw, we now head back to this year's Game Lab 1. The students in this year's Game Lab 1 meanwhile have had their first semester and are aiming to finish until summer. So like it's half of the time approximately that is already over. And the following presentations will report on their work in progress. Thus, they should not be directly compared to the majority of the trailer we just saw. It's more than they now unfolded a bit their ideas. They took first steps to test feasibility, and they will work until summer. And hopefully we can then see their ideas fully realized and playable at the Summer Expo. So we will have now 15 presentations from the Game Lab 1, and afterwards there will be the opportunity to ask questions to the authors, and then we will head into a short break before continuing with the Game Lab 2 and later on Game Lab 3 and thesis presentations. So please, to all the Game Lab 1 participants, get ready, be prepared to start when your slide is shown, and I give the word to you.
Thanks. Can you imagine a world where all objects, the entire environment, and just like everything only exists when it's illuminated? I'm Franziska, and together with Tobias, I made a game that does exactly this. The core mechanic behind this is that only objects within the light are interactable. But luckily, there are some light orbs distributed throughout the entire world, which can be picked up and used to solve some interesting puzzles. But enough said, here's our trailer.
Hello, my name is Jan Ruppert, and I'm currently working on my project You Only Live Once. It is a top-down bullet hell shooter with a strongly connected item and scoring system. That means if you choose a helpful item, it is harder for you to achieve a high score because you will get less points. But if you decide to get a malus to make the game harder for you, you will be rewarded with a higher score. The following video shows a trailer of my project.
Hi, I'm Norbert, and together with my partner Moritz, we are the developers of Planetscaper, a space-themed digital space tower defense game with the possibility to switch between first-person and top-down perspective.
Crashed on an unknown planet, the player needs to repair and protect his spaceship in order to escape. Therefore, he needs to farm resources for building, upgrading, and repairing towers in order to defend incoming waves of aliens. The possibility of switching perspectives and active abilities of towers, as well as setting targeting priorities, leads to a strategic gameplay with micromanagement.
As inspiration, we use typical tower defense games like Bloons TD6 or Orcs Must Die. We also got some ideas from Team Fortress 2. And now, please enjoy our trailer.
Hello, my name is Robert, and together with David, I'm programming the Wandering Soul. In the Wandering Soul, you play as a wannabe mage, who one day performs a complicated ritual which goes horribly wrong. Your soul is thrown out of your body, and now you as a player have to help him get back to his body. You do that by solving puzzles. Yes. And now, enjoy our gameplay trailer.
So in our game, you have to complete the game by reaching the end of each level. To do that, you have to use your abilities to move objects to clear your obstacles. With your wind abilities, you can move objects and destroy them. With your ice abilities, you can freeze objects or create, for example, a path of ice on top of water to get across of it. With your lightning, you can charge your energy core to activate some motors to move objects around or to charge some other objects. With your fire ability, you can set blocks on fire, burning them, and they get destroyed after some time. The metal crate, however, if you freeze it, you can destroy it with your wind ability, which normally you wouldn't be able to if it's not frozen. The energy core, if charged, can also activate a magnet, which can push around a metal crate and discharge it to deactivate it.
Hi guys, we are Pia and Christian, and the game we're working on is Companion. In this game, you can control two characters at once, the boy and his mother. The boy's goal is to escape the dangerous environment while the mother guards him.
The boy can't defend himself and needs protection, while the mother is invisible and can manipulate enemies.
Once the boy has been spotted, the game is over.
Now enjoy the trailer.
My name is Johannes Troll and I'm now going to present my game Relax Handpan to you. Relax Handpan has two modes, the Relax and the Memo Play mode, and it's steered with a gyro sensor. The USP is that it helps against ADHD, stress and even Parkinson. And now it's time to play, it's time to relax, it's time for Relax Handpan.
Hello, my name is Marie, and together with my team partner Daniel, we are working on our game Bonked, which is a 3D, two-player puzzle and jump and run game.
Each player has unique abilities, and you rely on them and on the communication with your partner to finish the level. And now please enjoy our trailer.
Strange that you're not around. I still think of you at night. Look where you used to lay and picture the shape that you made. Oh damn it, I'm tired. This running takes a toll on your mind. Oh damn it, I tried. Too late, now here comes the fight. Stay here and hold me. I'm in agony, you're a poison. You drip through my veins, slowly strangle my brain as you haunt me.
Hi, I'm David, and I'm currently working on the service, RTS stealth game like Desperados or the Commando series, with my USP that you are only seen when you stand still, so when you're not walking. So you can run around as you wish, but when you stand and try to do some tasks or solve puzzles, then the enemy will follow you. Also, I have a challenge in multiple character management because the player has to steer 3 different characters. But now the trailer.
Hey, we are Dennis and Marie-Louise, and we're currently working on Nitwitch, a 2D puzzle platformer in which you'll have to use previous instances of yourself to solve puzzles.
You can use elements and magic as well as movement abilities to solve these puzzles. And now enjoy a trailer.
There's many a tale out there of evil and powerful witches. Some even tell of good ones. This one, however, is different. Sierra, the protagonist, has accidentally broken the space-time continuum, and in order to fix it, she'll have to cooperate with copies of herself from different timelines. Each time Sierra dies, a new copy will spawn, which will imitate her exact actions and movements from her previous life. This will allow her to press both buttons at once and pass through these doors. Using the environment or spells, Sierra can be set on fire, frozen, or affected in even more ways too.
Hello everyone. My partner Virenda and we've been working on our game Magic Slayer. It is a first-person slasher in which the player can use wide-range magic in combination with melee attacks to fight enemies. Magic uses energy while the melee attacks regenerate it. Magic can either be an ice or fire spell.
In addition, the player has the ability to do a quick dash. The game was inspired by the game Ghost Runner, which makes it a combat adventure game with jump and run elements. And now enjoy the trailer.
Hey, I'm Eric Weinberg and I'm currently working on the game Against Everything. Against Everything is a wave-based first-person shooter with basic FPS mechanics. Each wave consists of enemies spawning all over the map. Every enemy has the chance to spawn with an ability such as more health or a higher velocity. The wave ends with its boss fight. Is the boss defeated, a new wave will start. The main goal is to get through the waves and achieve the highest score. The following video will show you one of the first trial runs I had.
Hello, my name is Vincent and I am responsible for The Shadow Within. The Shadow Within is a small dungeon crawler inspired by The Binding of Isaac. Its main features are combat and exploration, so venturing from one room to another, fighting enemies, is at its core. Next to the fighting, it will get a short story explaining the appearance of the Shadow, which is a unique immortal enemy type that chases the player and creates an additional threat. And now enjoy the trailer.
Hi, we are Tobias and Patrick, and we are currently working on a game which is called the Horror Game. In this game, you are being chased by an invisible monster. You as the player have to collect files to unravel the secrets of an abandoned laboratory. Your only defense tool is a Polaroid camera that allows you to take pictures of the monster. After you took a picture, the monster will flee and the player is able to look for the files again. Another tool the player will have is a Geiger counter that is able to detect the monster, so it's easier to know in which direction you have to take the picture. And now, please enjoy our trailer.
Summonings is a game developed by Anton Hantel and myself and is a top-down dungeon crawler roguelike game. It consists out of two parts. The first one is that you gather materials which have different stats and elements and use them to summon various creatures. And this creature inherits the stats of the materials.
The second part consists of you then fighting with this monster through a dungeon which increases in difficulty and at the end will end in a boss fight. And now please enjoy our trailer.
Hello, my name is Emil Walrath and I'm creating Sensations, a 2D side-scrolling adventure game in which the playable character reacts emotionally to the game world and their own actions. These emotions, greed, pride, rage, and fear, unlock temporary abilities and allow the player to switch between different play styles in order to deal with enemies and overcome obstacles on their way through the game world. We can see an example of this in the video. In this clip, we can see the player perform a jump and run, and they do it quite flawlessly. So their pride value rises, and they gain this unique ability from their high pride, the double jump, which allows them to solve this level and progress forward through the game. And there's even another way to solve this level. If the player fails to do this jump and run and falls down, they gain fear instead. Fear doesn't just allow them to jump faster to make it easier for a second try, but it also gives another unique ability, the ability to wall jump, which allows the player to solve this level in a whole different way on another route. So the player can just choose based on their decisions, which emotions and therefore abilities they gain and how they want to solve the level.
So now, okay, now we are through with all the GameLab presentations, and before we do something else, please give some additional round of applause to all of the presenters. So we had it now non-stop for 15 projects. If you have any kind of question that arose, now's the time to directly address the authors.
I think lots of questions occurred, but way too many to ask them in this round, and a lot of excitement also, because I've seen a lot of very promising things today already. So big kudos from my end.
So David, please, you raised your hand.
Okay, I have a question to Christian and sorry, who was the second person?
I guess you mean Pia?
Pia, yes, Christian
Yeah,
and Pia. And my question is, do you steer the two characters as one person? Because in your trailer, the two characters moved as one at once.
Yeah, the basic thing is you control it like with the joystick, the left control and the right controller. So you're controlling two characters at once. Yeah, and with the keyboard maybe like BASD and the arrow keys.
Okay, so you have to steer them at once.
Yes.
Okay, interesting.
So Raji, can you try to jump to the respective game slide? I think it was.
Sure, we'll do that.
Companion, it's the 5th.
Just a moment. This one.
Okay, is this sufficient for you, David? Does it answer your?
Yes, it's answer my question. I just asked because in my game I've also multiple characters, and I've never thought about the possibility that you can steer them at one time. So interesting thing.
So there is also the game I think called Brothers that uses the same idea. Maybe you can try this. So then we have Simon also raising his hand.
Yes, I have a question for the game Summonings. I'm not sure what the names of the creators
the 14th one.
Will the summons be AI controlled, or will the player control the summons?
Well, no, that's right. I may or may not have forgotten to mention that, but the summonings will be controlled by you, of course, and not AI controlled. The enemies are going to be, of course, AI controlled, but because you go through the dungeon with the summoning after you've summoned it, yes.
Okay, thank you very much.
So there is no additional hand raised. Maybe Sebastian, you want to add 1 or 2 questions?
No, I don't think I would want to, because what I've seen was, as I said before, a lot of potential, a lot of promising perspectives and design ideas, and also mechanics concepts. And then, of course, there were some questions where like, yeah, but why do they do this that way, and so on and so forth. There's nothing that I should ask within this context, I guess. Maybe I'll shoot some emails after. Okay,
fine. So then I would suggest that we go into the scheduled break, and we will be back at 12:55 for the GameLab 2 presentations and a short introduction by Sebastian.
Cool. See you in a bit.
See you soon. Okay, everyone back? So during this first session, we missed Reinhard saying goodbye to us. So he left us a message in the chat, and he thanked us that it was a pleasure to review the prototypes and that he knows how much work it takes to create a playable prototype, and that you all did a great job. So perhaps you can have a look for yourself. And now Sebastian will take us through GameLab 2.
Yeah, maybe I'm not gonna take you really through GameLab 2, but I just wanted to announce, because that happens in a very self-organized fashion, very flawlessly, as we've seen before in GameLab 1 session. Just a little context. GameLab 2 has always been envisioned to allow you students to dive deeper into gaming technology, whether from a developer perspective or a designer perspective, doesn't matter, but just deeper into technology. And that being said, back in the days, we started with open-ended ideas, basically, that the students themselves asked questions that they would pursue within the context of the GameLab 2, just as much as you do, or just in the same way as you do in GameLab 1, primarily targeting plugins for Unity and Unreal Engine, very much aligned again with GameLab 1. At the same time, it was always more open in terms of other technologies to be used as game engines, as would be GameLab 1 as well. And now, and this is really new, so you should all be excited to hear about the students' pitches in the next little while. What is really new is that for the very first time, GameLab 2 was organized in a user-centered engineering fashion in such a way that we actually had external stakeholders, or we do have external stakeholders now on board. So all the project ideas that are going to be presented and the progress is reported on, they are motivated at least by external needs and by experts in one or the other direction who would actually be super happy and be more productive if the technology was already provided to them. So in essence, the different projects have risen into very synergetic, productive, collaborative partnerships with people from the outside of the university, which I found astonishing and wonderful from many different angles. That was the novelty regarding GameLab 2, and also it provided some of the context, and now we can dive into the individual project presentations. Looking forward. Thank you.
Yeah, hello. How would you make learning anatomy fun and helpful, especially for blind students? My stakeholder had a very great idea to make a custom-made speaking skeleton with this thing. It's a Tiptoy pen, and if you're not familiar with it, it has a camera which scans markers, and based on which marker you scan, it will give you information. And this way we wanted to make a skeleton speak. So my job is to create a program which allows automatic script generation for this pen and ensure easy usability. And how my program works into this whole pipeline, you will see in my trailer and also my current prototype of the UI. So please enjoy, and I'm hoping to see you on the Summer Expo. Thank you.
Hello, my partner Tobias and I are making GANs for adaptive terrain generation. The goal of this whole project is that we have points of interest, like a city that you've created or a river of some sort, that you can plug into our program and have terrain generated around it to make it easier for everyone to just have a terrain that is believable without actually having to draw every little bit of it. The TLDR of GANs is that they are two neural networks. One has pictures given as training data, and the other one generates random pictures. The goal of that whole system is that the training pictures at one point are so good that they align with the training data, and the other network can't say anymore if it's a fake picture or a real picture. At this point in our process, we decided against the trailer because at this point we just have code and it would be useless to show it all. So we just decided to have training pictures on the left side on the next slide and our generated pictures on the right side. As you can see, they are not yet really on the level of our training pictures, but they're coming along and could be already used as height maps.
Hello there, we are Ennis and
Wenzel.
And we're creating a plugin in Unity for the procedural generation of architectons. It is intended to provide the user with a tangible and abstract vision of the aforementioned. For this presentation, we compiled a short video to showcase the current functionality. So without any delays, enjoy the video.
Hi, I'm Maximilian, and together with my project partner Vincent, I'm working on a CityGML import plugin for the Unreal Engine. CityGML is a data model that is used to store 3D models and data of cities. Our goal is to make that data available in the Unreal Engine so that it can be used for example, city planning. We also want to make those objects that we import easily editable. So we have a short trailer for you and we hope that you enjoy it.
Hello, my name is Roman Bonshir, and together with my partner Miklas Neely, we are working on the procedural dungeon generator for Snake.
a plugin developed for Unity which can be used to randomly generate 2D dungeons influenced by the user's constraints. Therefore, as described on the next slide, the user will be able to put in their own rooms or use a default preset of rooms, and they will also have the possibility to define the length of their dungeon and set a start and end room.
We will also have we will also implement a feature based on the key and lock principle, which can be seen here. It allows the user to tell the dungeon generator which room needs to be entered first to unlock a certain different room. And please enjoy our trailer.
Welcome everyone. My name is Leonhard Kraft, and together with Benedikt C, we are working and want to show you our a little overview of our project, Virtual Creating Room. And together we are working on a level editor in the virtual reality with the focus on layout, which includes grouping, copying, and pasting objects. And another important thing of our project is the saving and loading of those created levels. And we want to use those levels in other projects or games in the best case. And now you can start our trailer.
So first of all, here you can see how you can grab all already existing objects and pull them towards you. And for better movement and looking at the objects, you also can teleport yourself, turn around with a quick button, and walk a little bit. And here you can see your inventory, as simple as it is at the moment. With the red button, you can choose red balls to place all over your level. And with the gray button over it, you can choose white cubes to place. At the moment, we only have this little menu, so you can only create this mess you can see there. But in the future, we are planning to make a folder system with more objects like trees or houses to build a real level.
So the next one is VR Light Painter. Lucas, are you here with us?
Yes. Yeah, my project is designed to help designers of lighting solutions visualize their concepts in virtual reality. It's supposed to be an Unreal Editor plugin that allows designers to place lights onto objects in virtual reality. And let's see the current status.
Hi, I'm Sven Gerlach, and I'm creating Raymond 2IK, a plugin for managing the appearance of a VR avatar in a multiplayer environment. Everything else will be explained in the short trailer on the next slide. Thank you for watching. Raymond 2IK is a plugin that lets players choose how detailed their movements in real life should be replicated by their VR avatar. Developers can set up a range of options that can be combined to create anything from a very simplistic appearance to a partially detailed one, to one that is as detailed as possible. Since this is on one hand dependent on how much equipment the player owns, and on the other hand a matter of personal taste, the plugin lets players choose how each part of their body should be shown. In action, the differences could also look something like this. Many humanoid avatars use inverse kinematics to determine a possible but probably not accurate placement of the elbows. With Raymond 2IK, you could activate the use of a VR trigger to make sure it is displayed in the right place, but could also disable it if it isn't necessary.
Hello, my name is Nico and I'm working on the so-called Julia plugin. This plugin will allow you to use Julia code inside of Unity. And Julia is a modern programming language, especially used in science for creating data models. Talking about data models, the second goal of my project is to apply the plugin on the process-based ecophysiological model, MGM, by my stakeholder, Anne Leverens. The model simulates the plant growth in different lakes, and this will then be visualized in Unity. Now enjoy the trailer. The Julia plugin is a plugin for the Unity engine. With the help of a C++ DLL and predefined classes in C#, it allows the user to access and run code written in Julia. So just create your own Julia project and write your code with its own modules and functions. When your Julia code is finished, place the respective Julia files inside a newly created Unity project with the plugin installed. After this, you can write a new C# script, calling it Julia code and allowing you to use it in your Unity project. This, for example, allows you to create simulations of your data models and more.
Yeah, hi, I'm Simon, and I'm working on the visualization of species range dynamics. Namely, I'm modifying an existing stakeholder model by adapting it into an app, a Shiny app, with updated visuals and plots, and UI for simulation adjustments. Enjoy the trailer. Hi, this is part of MetaRange, the stakeholder model. And this is what the plot outputs used to look like. You would have to view them in RStudio. And if we start the app, we can see that we now have a dashboard with UI inputs, which we'll use to change the outputs in the simulation. Not yet implemented. You may recognize this plot output. That's this one. That's already been adapted. I'm currently working on this terrain output. A new output. I will make this 3D and we will then use this to overlay our results from habitat suitability and abundance over this terrain plot output and display them here in a more appealing way. Thank you for your attention.
So, hello, I'm Joel and I'm also working in the same area. My stakeholder had the problem that for biology you could use PCs to simulate hundreds and hundreds of years in a small amount of hours. And then you could, but this takes time to program it. And if you don't want to program it, you could use my new my website that I create at the moment to search through lots of lots of already implemented models and use them for your study. And yeah, let's have a look at the trailer.
Hi, I'm Annika and I present to you my plugin water mesh for the Unity engine. Contrary to the other projects, mine is already finished. It is a mesh manipulation plugin which contains two tools. The first one is the smudge tool, pictured in turquoise on the slide. You can drag a selection of an object's mesh to deform it. And the other tool is the slice tool, pictured in orange, where you separate an object along a straight lines. Developers can implement game mechanics with the functionalities and the provided inputs via mouse, or extend the existing functions and input methods. If you're interested, please check out the HIO page that is linked at the end of the trailer. You can find the plugin as well as a prototype game where I use the smudge tool as a mechanic. Now please roll the trailer. I hope you enjoy it.
Hey, I'm Jonas. And my partner Clemens. And we are proud to present our project QuickPort. QuickPort is a Unity package that makes porting games from console or PC to mobile platforms much easier by automating the control rebinding from already existent PC or console controls to virtual buttons on the mobile platform. Users can easily bind the existing controls to our QuickPort virtual buttons or joysticks and jump right into prototyping. But enough talk, let's see it in action in our trailer.
Do you have trouble porting your game to mobile? Do you not want to program another UI? Luckily, we got a solution for that. QuickPort is a Unity package that comes with a bunch of powerful tools. For example, the auto input mapper. Simply drag the script on a canvas, fill in the blanks, and boom, you have your own mobile UI mapped to your game's controls. But QuickPort can do more than that. Just drag the standard canvas prefab into your game and have a pre-built UI controller at your disposal. Use the basic prefabs of QuickPort to customize your own canvas in minutes. change their control path to have them emulate any input. QuickPort also comes with a UI touch zone and a dynamic joystick. Additionally, it features legacy support for the old Unity input system. QuickPort, the smart porting choice.
Hi everyone, I'm the developer of the Unity Action RPG Toolkit. As you might have guessed from the title, it's a toolkit to create action RPGs in Unity, a genre that has historically been severely underserved by Unity's developers. It basically just provides users with every tool they need to make this kind of game in Unity. And the goal is essentially just to put Epic out of business. Roll the clip, please.
Hi, I'm Bingisu, and together with Puya, we're working on the plugin for neurocognitive experiments. It's going to allow users to change game parameters without tinkering with the source code and provide them with game templates to choose from.
And in future updates, we wish to include those simple game genres for them to choose from, and also improve the game controller to make it that much simpler and easier for them to change their game. And now please enjoy our trailer.
So, hey, we're John and Leonard, and we're working on the FemtoPro Virtual Tutor. It's a Unity plugin for our university's virtual laser lab, which allows students, also the laser lab allows students to experiment with lasers in VR. And our plugin is a developer tool that should extend FemtoPro by providing a virtual tutor, which can carry out a sequence of actions based on the configuration of the user. These actions include interactions of the tutor with the environment, as well as animations which are triggered by a specific event in the main application. Now for the trailer.
Disclaimer. This is a test scene with test objects which are bound to change. First we have the Properties menu, where global settings can be adjusted, such as the outline color. Then we have the Actions tab, which saves lists of actions for specified events, such as the student completing the task on level 1. Here we can add a predefined action to the list. For object-sensitive actions, we drag an object to the corresponding field, like in the Look At action. We can set waypoints directly in the scene with a button if needed, such as for the Go To Position action. Another disclaimer, these are only animations and will change in the future. Animations are played in list order. The actions in the list can be dragged into any order, and the list will automatically adapt to these changes appropriately. The lists will automatically save to and load from a JSON file, allowing init export as well as direct manipulation of these files if needed.
So I think we had this one already.
No, we don't.
Didn't?
There's two projects on the same.
Okay, then I'm so sorry. Please, Elias and Jonas.
If you're there. since we haven't heard anything from you guys.
I think Jonas was supposed to start it, but his internet seems to be gone. So sorry. So we are Elias Gröber and Jonas Ludwig, and we are creating the plugin for procedural level generation in Snake. And our key feature is the random generation of objects into different room parts, and that are currently still selected by coordinates. But we are planning to make it possible that you have a GUI or something, and you can draw the shapes within the Unity editor window to create the different parts of the room, or to separate them basically. And these should be polygons, not just rectangles. You can change the settings of generated objects individually, which you'll see in the video. And we already started to make the constraint satisfaction solver, but the solver is still in those early stages and is not totally functional yet. So this should provide later on, when it's done, a wide variety of individual choices, not just the location or pattern in which things are spawned, but it should be a definable constraint for every object, and it shouldn't have reciprocal errors, so that it will give the user feedback and help setting the correct and permissible constraints. So as you will see in the video, you can just play the video. I'll just talk over it. Basically, you just see the process of spawning an object, how it currently is. So you set the width and height, and because we just have the rectangle option yet, and then you can fulfill the game objects that you want to have. Just drag and drop the prefabs in, and then you have all those options that are getting set currently, and those options are basically using normal options for spawning stuff, and you can set and make your own functions in the kind of function thing. The only problem was that it is not implemented in this version yet. But you will be able to set your own kind of function, not just the ones that are possible with the drop-out menu. So you can generate them into the scene manually, or you can generate everything at all and delete them if you dislike it.
Yes. So, hello, my name is Jan, and we can go to the next slide directly. And in every game, there are many graphs, and sometimes you don't get them necessarily right. So that's no shame, but it usually takes some time to fix it. With my GameLab 2 project, you can build easily graphs to inspect the inner workings of your game. And as a result, you can debug your code much faster. My framework supports you to build your tools as fast as possible by providing the needed infrastructure like graph drawing, layouting, import, export, and so on. So with this in mind, we can watch the trailer.
Hello, my name is Jan, and I present the generic graph data debugger to you. You like to debug graphs by staring at pointers because you have a superhuman intuition how the pointers build up your graph? Cool, that's great. But we have the tool for everyone else. The Graph Debugger provides to you a framework to rapidly design graph visualizations of your data structures. It doesn't matter if you want to debug a scene graph or a decision tree. Do you have a constantly changing state machine? Just let the graph dynamically change like your data. The plugin works as an engine plugin in Unity, or as an addition to your game, and you can easily debug log files from your customers. We provide a clean API with a small footprint, so you need to know less and could focus more on your game. This API allows you to build tools to debug every graph, starting at the scene graph and ending with the command traces of your game. Don't worry about getting your graphs right, just look at them.
Okay, so thanks to all the presenters, and likewise a big round of applause from everyone for the GameLab 2 state of work reports. Now there's also the time to get back on these projects and directly ask the presenters, if you have something in mind now, please raise your hand. So perhaps I will start with a lightweight thing, also targeted a bit to Sebastian, because none of these projects really stated who these stakeholders are. Is it something secret, or is it okay to ask in some cases?
It's not at all secret. It's fully okay to ask.
So because let me quickly see, for the virtual creating room and for the Rayman 2 IK plugin, I was really curious if I guessed right who maybe the stakeholders are, because if not, I would have some kind of advice to at least network with people here at the chair. So perhaps for Leonard and Benedict, the virtual creating room, who are your stakeholders?
Our stakeholders are Johannes Büttner and Christian Merz.
Okay. And in what kind of context do they want to apply your virtual creating room?
They created in their GameLab 1 virtual reality game and thought of the idea to have a level editor. So they actually gave us the idea, but they said they wouldn't use it in their game or in especially a project, but only for us as an idea.
Okay, so perhaps maybe if you're interested, you perhaps could also contact me again, because it's a bit too much for this session now, since we did similar projects or explored similar ideas in the course of 2 master modules in the HCI program, where we also had speech and gesture interfaces where you could just say, create a sphere here or make it bigger or whatever. It even goes back to work that the chairholder Mark Latuschik did in his thesis when he tried to, when he created a virtual reality room where you could construct things for industry. I think he had the example of cars, and where he also used speech and gesture. Could be interesting to talk a bit more about this. Okay. And for the Rayman 2 IK, Sven?
Thank you.
Yes, my stakeholders were VR here at the
okay. Then I guess
they are also here, I think, in the Zoom. So yes.
But then it's already fine from my perspective. Yes. In the meanwhile, are there any additional questions from the audience? Do you want to add something, Sebastian?
Yeah, I think it was great to see, also from an external perspective, I'm sure. What I very much appreciate is, of course, the broad spectrum of different directions that you guys are heading. Of course, we all appreciated also the audio track for the trailers and the fading out of it. Apart from that, yeah, splendid. I'm looking forward to the next iterations and the next results that you're going to present in summer. This is fantastic.
Yeah, you're right, Sebastian. That definitely makes us hungry for summer to see these ideas fully worked out. And ideally having something to try for yourself.
And then, of course, I have lots of nitty-gritty detailed feedback, but again, this is not for this session.
Okay, then I suggest we do the second scheduled break, and it would be then to until 13:40. And perhaps Sebastian and Suraji, could you stay for 1 more minute? I
sure.
have a question.
So see you
all the others. See you
in a few minutes. So what's your
so
question?
we can quickly discuss it here. There is one GameLab 1 contribution that somehow didn't make it into the slides because they didn't get that they have to re-upload it if they don't want to change the version that they presented last week. And the question was if we can squeeze it in at the beginning of the next session.
Absolutely.
They would share it themselves, and we see how this works.
Fantastic.
Okay.
So see you in 5 minutes then.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
Welcome back, everyone. I hope you could relax a bit, maybe also grab a drink, and are now ready for our third and final session of this streaming event, where we will have a look at two GameLab 3 projects and two exposés of bachelor theses that are going to be conducted during this year. And we have forgotten someone in our first session and now take the chance to squeeze in another GameLab 1 project. So maybe we will do this first and let Maximilian share his screen. And afterwards we will hear Sebastian saying a few words to GameLab 3 and the bachelor thesis. So Maximilian, now is the chance for you.
Yes, thank you. Can you see my screen?
Yeah, fine, working fine.
Okay, perfect. So, hello, my name is Max.
And my name is Yannick.
Our game is called Cardist Dungeon and is a dungeon crawler with a turn-based combat system.
The twist, however, is that the player can change the layout of the dungeon by rearranging pieces of the map.
But enough talk, have a look for yourself and enjoy the trailer.
Okay, thank you very much. And we now do a jump to like the end of the bachelor program and to GameLab 3 and the theses.
Yeah, thank you for sharing your GameLab 1 project. It was a pity that we couldn't really hear the music. It was way too quiet, but it looked like it's a very promising approach that you have been taking. So kudos for that. Exactly. Towards the end of the Games Engineering Bachelor of Sciences program, the students have to enter GameLab 3, which basically allows them to emancipate themselves from game engines such as Unity and Unreal, which we have mentioned before, and many of the games and technologies that we've seen today are built on. And in GameLab 3, so the students only utilize the barest minimum of external dependencies and build their games basically on OpenGL directly, more or less, and just utilize some external libraries for reading in specific file formats for music, audio, and certain graphic data as well. And in that context, the students also have to present their results at some point or other, and I'm happy to have Pirmin and Jonas present their current status. Thank you for that one. And here you go.
So welcome to my presentation, and I'm Pirmin Pfeiffer, and I am currently building Fractal Engine, a small framework for game development utilizing the Nintendo Switch SDK, and therefore it's built for Nintendo Switch hardware. And currently I have a Minesweeper demo, and I will be building a secondary demo for summer. And currently I'm building features like compile time safety for most features, so the developer doesn't have to worry about the different things like do I have the right string literals in my code. And now roll the trailer, please.
Hi, I'm Jonas, and I'm presenting the Companion Engine, or Journey Through Space. The Journey Through Space is the game that demos the engine. My engine focuses on non-discrete pathfinding in 3D space to facilitate controlling multiple characters at once in a game. Yeah, for this demo and like for focus, I focus on like space shooters and like 3D space and all around that thing. And yeah, you can roll the trailer.
Roger that. Viper 3 moving out.
Okay, thank you very much. And even though these are only two, we give them a big round of applause now, because we are already through with the Game Lab 3 presentations. Thanks, Pirmin and Jonas. And perhaps with a bit more present in our heads, now the Q&A session, targeting these two projects. Anyone here who wants to know something about Pirmin's switch engine or Jonas' non-discrete pathfinding?
Yeah, Pirmin, I don't understand it at all. Like, what's the big deal? I mean, you just showed a Minesweeper, you know, like ridiculous. And where did your time go? You know?
My time did go in two big factors. First, I don't have the luxury of just copying OpenGL tutorials for all my graphics or anything at all, because the Nintendo Switch has a complete different API than OpenGL or other standards. So I invested heavily into understanding what I even need to do to have a triangle appearing on screen, and everything you could see in my trailer is performing on the Nintendo Switch hardware, so you can currently play Minesweeper indefinitely on the Switch. And another huge portion that you couldn't see because it's purely developer luxury are build tools that ease the pain of loading assets, because I can't stand it when I have string literals in my code and I change assets and I have to change the string literals everywhere in my code. So I built different automation tools that generate asset files as reflection code, and so you can only load enums and don't have to worry about the string literals or runtime crashes due to asset loading.
But so Pirmin, that sounds horrible, and I wonder how any other developer could bring out a game on Nintendo Switch. So could you give some very small insight about how others like normally develop, and what kind of tools are typically used when developing for the Switch apart from your engine?
So all major game engines like Unity and Unreal provide plugins to build for you for the Nintendo Switch. So they handle all the how do I render things and stuff like that on an abstraction layer, so you can write your game in Unity or Unreal just like normal. And big teams just work with the RPE and integrate them into their own engines, but they have a whole team of skilled engineers to do that. And luckily, the Nintendo support is very helpful when it comes to specific problems, and that helped me a lot in starting the project.
So when you see Pirmin the next time, maybe times are coming when we can actually walk on campus again, you can just say, "Hey, hi Pirmin, you team of engineers." Yeah, so this is actually what motivated my question, because of course I know all these things, but I was thinking maybe not everybody who joined the chat would know. So cool, thank you very much.
Jan, please go
yes,
on.
I have a question. Why is it called Fractal Engine?
Currently, I called it Fractal Engine because I had the idea for the logo and the animation of in my trailer where everything shrinks down to the logo. And that's the main motivation, because I thought it looked cool. And another point is my engine is currently split up into 5 different Visual Studio projects. So it's very fractured into different sub-projects in my solution. So that's another reason why I came up with the name.
Yeah, I thought it had something to do with the rendering, but okay, I see.
Or does it have something to do with your secret demo that we will
maybe
see in some...
Are you sure it's not called Fractal Engine? Because the graphics are just skull-splittingly good, man.
Nice. Jonas, what's the goal of your game and how do I play it?
Oh, well, yeah, the goal of my game is that you like just destroy enemies like in the space, but you have a squad at your command, like I don't know, like 3 other spaceships that you can then command over like a procedural generated radar that is based on a non-discrete pathfinding algorithm that will be included in the engine, and then you can command them and like put them to command them to certain places, or like let them tail you and give you cover or something like that.
But can you give us perhaps a bit more insight in how this feature that you list first, the non-discrete pathfinding, really helps or is beneficial in your game idea with the space shooter?
Yeah, because like I always thought like I played a lot of like space shooters itself, but they always are like lonely. But I wanted like to experience that you have like a full squad, even if you don't have like friends to play with you or something. And so I said like maybe if you're like the commander of a squad, and then you can like command your friendly units, they kind of feel like, I don't know, like other people, and like and you can like perform strategic maneuvers, and yeah, it just feels good. And therefore the non-discrete pathfinding is necessary, because like even if you are in space, you have like obstacles like asteroids or something. You need to move around and like to find the way where you command your friendly units to. Yeah, there it is necessary.
Cool. Thank you very much. I think if there are no further questions, we should move on to the thesis exposés. And they don't have to be exposés, but in this case, I guess they are kind of exposés with a little salt and grain of the current progress report. So the story here is for all the games engineers who are going to write their thesis in the next few months or semesters. If you wrote your thesis with us at the chair 9 of computer science, then we would expect you to have an exposé ready before you register your thesis with the examination office. That ensures that you know what you're talking about and that you know what to do and why to do it, etc., etc. And that basically brought up the idea of exposés that have to be at least presented if you want to present your thesis project, because then you can actually tell people what you want to do and how you're going to do it, etc., etc. But if anyone here, either Benedikt or Tobias, had already completed their thesis project, they wouldn't have to present their exposés, but they could just present the overall thesis, including the results. But let's just dive in and see how far they have gotten in the meantime. Looking forward.
Hi, I'm Benedikt, and today I will present my bachelor exposé. My bachelor thesis is all about serious games and language acquisition. Next slide, please. The goals for my thesis: I want to create a serious educational game for language acquisition that will be based on learning theories as well as established game design patterns. I want to then define learning objectives, in-game activities, as well as knowledge retention assessments. And my game will be focused on vocabulary recalling and sentence construction. Next slide, please. So this is a screenshot of my first prototype. For a theme of my game, I choose a cooking game because I don't have to worry about things like story or something, and it's I can include just simple and easily understandable mechanics with objects that I can then map to language components. Next slide, please. There you can see an example activity. In order, the player has to construct a sentence by putting ingredients into the pan in the correct order. And how that is connected to language theory, I will first tell you a bit about the theory behind my thesis. Next slide, please. So the learning theory that my thesis is based on is the popular revised Bloom's taxonomy. Maybe you've heard of it in school or somewhere else. It defines different levels of cognitive learning. Those are remembering, understanding, applying, analyzing, and evaluating and creating. So they get more complex. Next slide, please. And what I basically do in my thesis, I take in-game activities that lead to proximate game goals, for example, choosing, finding, or selecting. And then I map these to activities that are inside of the learning taxonomy are connected to some of those cognitive learning levels. For example, choosing, finding, and selecting could be mapped to recognizing, recalling, and identifying, which will lead to remembering cognitive process. That is then a learning process. Next slide, please. So in my example activity, players have to recall vocabulary from the sentence that they have to reorder. Then they have to have learned something and understood something about sentence construction that they will then apply by reordering the sentence. That is just a simple example of what will be possible in my game then. Thank you. That's it so far.
Okay, so it's my turn, I guess. Hi, my name is Tobias Lenkfeld, and as Sebastian already mentioned, I'm about to start with my bachelor thesis, for which I am going to present a more systematic design approach for serious educational games. So in order to do that, I'm going to create a serious educational game myself, which will be about Ohm's law. So as you might remember from school, Ohm's law is about current circuits. In a circuit, you have voltage, you have resistance, and you have current. And the law states that resistance equals voltage divided by current. So this formula, this concept is what we want to teach in the serious game. Exactly. On this slide, on the right side, you can see two example games. One is called Elechead and one is called Supercharged. And both these games are also about electromagnetism. But the key difference is Elechead, for example, is a commercial game, which is mostly focused on the player having fun. So you can see on the left side, there is a serious game classification scheme, and it's in the bottom right, meaning it's engaging, it's fun, but it has no learning objectives. Supercharged, on the other hand, is also fun, of course, because it's a game, but it also has learning objectives and has some knowledge transfer. So it means it's an effective serious game because it's fun and it teaches something. And you can see it's located in the green bubble, and that's exactly where we also want to be with the game I'm going to create for my bachelor thesis. So the question, of course, is how do we achieve that? How do we get into that green bubble? And yeah, as you've already seen, the big challenge with serious games is finding a balance between the learning side and the gaming side. And yeah, to tackle this problem, we first want to have clear definitions of both sides. So we use established frameworks. For learning, the framework I use is called Revised Bloom's Taxonomy. And you can see our learning objective is categorized in the middle. So our objective, as I already told you, is to learn to apply Ohm's law. And around this objective, you can now also define learning activities, which are like smaller objectives that help you achieving your main objective. So that's it for the learning side. And on the right side, you can see the unifying game ontology, which categorizes the game elements. So it proposes, for example, goals and mechanics and classifies them. So on the next slide, you can see that we now try to map these onto each other. Since we have these clear definitions, we can now combine them and have an easier time testing them. So in the picture, you can see, for example, you have a goal, which might be to optimize a current circuit. And for that, you have to apply your learning objective, which means you have to apply Ohm's law. So for example, you have to know how to insert resistances. And yeah, we can do this with all activities we have defined. We can map game elements onto these activities and then have an easier time doing knowledge retention tests and see if the learning has been successful. So now let's take a closer look at the prototype. Right now we have some mechanics already implemented. In the top left corner, you can see a picture of a current circuit as it is in the game. You have voltage sources, you have switches, you have resistances and an electrical load. And in the bottom right, you can see a jump and run mechanic. The blue and the red sphere are magnets, which can attract and repel the player. So with these mechanics, we can now build puzzles, and these puzzles a player can solve. So if we go to the next slide, we can see here we have this current circuit in practice. You can see the load, which gets hotter and turns yellow. And if you activate the current circuit for too long, it burns through, which can teach us, for example, that we need more resistance in that circuit. Here you can see an example of the magnets used as a jump and run element. And here you can see this jump and run element integrated into an example level. And at the end of this example level, you can also see the current circuit used to open a door, which the players can pass. And yeah, so that's about it.
Okay, thank you very much. And last round of applause for the bachelor thesis exposés.
I will ask whether there are any questions from the general audience.
That's true. So in the meanwhile, I have to say, Benedikt and Tobias, you really improved in terms of presentation from last week. And I think you definitely got feedback from other sources as well, but you could really see that you worked in our suggestions and it was way better understandable now. So good job here.
Along these lines, I was wondering, Benedikt, how would you evaluate your results? Because you didn't mention that at all.
So I will try to finish the game like a month before I hand in the thesis, and I want to hand out the game to lots of people for testing, and then I will have questionnaires. Is that what you're aiming for, or do you mean the in-game tests of the knowledge?
No, in-game tests of knowledge is kind of easy. Yeah, the methodology, how you would evaluate. And of course, you would try to teach languages and vocabulary apprehension, as well as sentence construction in languages that your testers have never ever considered learning before, right?
Yeah, exactly. So
Perfect.
so that is kind of yet to come, because I already had a conversation with my supervisors Munsif about this, and then we said that is probably a little bit down the road to really design the test. But a first idea that I had is that I define some tasks for learning in a language that's not that popular, for example, and then I would give out to the testers some traditional learning materials that teach in the same scope as my game would, and then I could after that evaluate what was more effective. For example, something like that was on my mind.
Okay, cool. Sounds good to me. Lots of work. Tobias, you said in the beginning that there are comparable games, and one is more entertainment oriented, the other one is a serious game, however, and it is fun and it is already doing exactly what you want. So I'm wondering, why are you doing all of this work? Speaking of workload and stuff.
Because the game has a different scope. So Supercharged is more about magnetism. You fly a spaceship about into a black hole, and you have like these magnetic points where you have to repel yourself by charging your ship. And the scope of our game is more about Ohm's law, so more about current circuits and teaching that knowledge. So,
and how will you actually evaluate whether it works or it doesn't?
I think in a pretty similar manner to Bene. I will, as I've already shown, I have a prototype right now, and we will like implement a puzzle platformer with different levels, and so we will add, like, for each learning item or each learning objective we have, we will add a level or a room to a level, and then we can like do iterative tests where we do questionnaires about the topic. So we let the player play the level, then hand out a questionnaire which they have to answer to see if they really learned something, and then we can judge if the element we used was really successful in teaching that, and then we can improve that element.
But you would also have to identify people who have no clue about these foundational physics laws yet, right?
Yeah, of course. It might make sense to like check their knowledge beforehand to see how much they already understand about Ohm's law. So we might have to do some tests beforehand and then afterwards to really see.
You're hoping, of course, that the German educational system, you know, is just flooded with gaps. Okay, cool. Thank you.
But is it shouldn't it then be targeted towards children or kids?
Yeah, so the target audience is between 13 and 19, we said, because you learn about electromagnetism in detail in 11th grade in Bavaria's gymnasium, high school. And so we want to test the game with younger pupils who might not have had the knowledge transferred in school. So yeah,
so
we want to build like some intuition for the pupils.
Okay, so maybe, and I cannot promise you how much time he really has, but maybe you want to contact Sebastian Oberdorfer, or at least have a look at his work, because he did a serious game teaching affine transformations in his PhD work and in his thesis, and he conducted several similar tests, and can perhaps tell you some insights in form of do and don'ts, or some advices what takes too long or is not something you should approach within the bachelor thesis.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I can shoot him an email.
That's applies for both of you, because this evaluation task is somehow similar.
Good. Martin, I think this concludes our session and event today, right?
Yeah, you're right, Sebastian. We are through, and I think we had some nice 2 hours seeing a lot of different projects, all connected to the games engineering program. And at least for my side, I was also very happy to see a lot externals, external partners, stakeholders, maybe friends that also joined us here. Perhaps Johannes or Sorachi, you have more concrete numbers, but we have definitely been over the 100 viewers or participants. And I think like it was a very nice event. Thank you all for participating and for your interest in what we're doing here in Würzburg. Have a look at our, or be already prepared for our event in summer that hopefully can then take place in our labs again, and where you can see what where all these nice projects concluded to. So thank you for being with us. Have a nice time and stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully see you soon. See you in summer.
At the latest. Take good care. Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Also to you, Martin. Bye-bye.